Hello everyone, Alistair Gold here. So, raise your hand if you've been shouted at by the Tottenham Hotspur manager in the past 24 hours or so. It's been such a weird time. Do you know what? I've probably covered more than maybe more than 1,000 press conferences during my kind of time as a sports reporter and also a news reporter before that, across various levels of football, across various things, even criminal press conferences, things like that. Not actually the criminal doing a press conference, but police press conferences. I don't think I've ever been involved in a more remarkable press conference than I was inside the bowels of St Mary's Stadium late yesterday. You could argue, looking into that he's essentially saying that he can't motivate the squad. That's kind of what he's saying in there. He is digging out the players, but he's also kind of suggesting that he doesn't have that ability to make them show that desire and fight anymore. And that is his job. I can't dance around it. You can't look. Like I say, as much as I agree with a lot of the stuff he said about the club and the culture of the club and the players, ultimately it's the manager's job to get what he has playing better and believing in themselves and wanting to fight for him and the club. And is he doing that? It looks like no. And that's what makes it so awkward. I mean, the players might look on the fact that while he was away and recovering in Italy, they won those 3 big games at home, didn't they? Man City, West Ham, Chelsea. They won them without him. Obviously, he played a little part in them in certain ways. And you could argue that they only lost the 2 in the week that they knew he was coming back at the end of it, maybe. I don't know. I looked a bit into it. In 2023, Spurs have won just 3 of the 10 games that Conte's been present for in the Premier League and Champions League. Lost 5 and drawn 2. And he says it himself, and there's no denying it. Spurs have gone backwards this season. They have. They're not, showing a lot of the aspects that they were last season as well. And let's be honest, they can be desperately dull to watch. I don't think they were dull yesterday, but they definitely had some attacking issues and certainly defensive issues. But they can be dull to watch, and they can rely on individual moments of magic rather than the end product of the system that Conte has installed. And that's a big thing as well. And I think that's just about acceptable if you're bringing in the results. But Conte said himself, it's unacceptable when they're producing performances like that, in which it was a draw, but it felt like a defeat. And I probably will at some point call it a defeat in this video without even thinking about it. I'm intrigued to know whether he was really referring to Perisich, because Perisich obviously scored his first goal for the club, but I thought there were some moments when he was horrendous again defensively. Is he selfish? Is he playing for himself? Is one of his old guard doing that? It's very interesting, if we get another press conference with him, to understand and delve a little bit deeper into what he meant by some of these things, rather than, obviously, the press conference was brought to a close last night. But why does playing good football and winning and having a tough mentality, why do they have to be all mutually exclusive kind of thing? Why can't you have all of the above? I don't know. I mean, you look at a lot of the teams that have won the league in England probably since Conte won it, and I'm trying to think, most of them all played really nice, exciting football. Eric Dyer, I'm going to have some quotes from you in a little bit, him talking about that, but the defence have to look at themselves as well. What I found fascinating, and this is one of the flaws I felt in what Conte was saying, is that he's just got this thing where he refuses to accept that his uncertainty about his situation in the future might have any impact on those players. And that, I find, that's a real lack of self-awareness, or it's deflecting, one of the two. Because for me, how can you criticise players not playing for the club, not showing the desire to fight for you or the club or whatever, when they have no idea whether you really want to be at the club or not. And actually, let's be honest, they probably assume he doesn't want to be at club and he is going to go in the summer, because he never talks about his future. He never gives us any real clarity. And if he does kind of edge towards anything, it almost makes it sound like he doesn't really want to be here beyond the end of the season. It's all very well saying, I'll kill myself for this club until the end of the season. That's great. But a lot of those players are thinking, yeah, well, I'm going to be here beyond this season. Kind of, why should I play for you? And this was Dan from the Evening Standard tried to ask him this. And his eye contact went bang, straight in there. And this was when the press conference went from annoyed in his long answer to me to a whole new level of like angry. It absolutely shot it down. He's like, you're finding an alibi, another alibi. And he was just getting angry. His voice was raising. Yeah, honestly, seeing him like just get redder and redder. I think he might be feeling better because he certainly had the energy to go into it. And I didn't agree with it. I didn't agree with this kind of, if you're saying that I am anything to do with this and you're giving the players an excuse. No, not really. You're saying that they're not playing well as well, but you're also saying that there are going to be some underlying circumstances to this. And as he says himself, he gets paid very well. Very well indeed. And for a manager who gets paid at that kind of world-class level, they should be able to provide, I guess, a world-class ability to affect the players and impact them. And, it was only... Was it last season he was saying that he actually felt this was like the best group of players he'd ever worked with in terms of their mentality. What did he do to them over a season? What happened? I'll tell you what it is. It's probably because last season they wanted him to stay and were trying to fight to keep him to stay. And this season he hasn't probably really shown any interest in staying. And that's fed into the mentality in the group. So yeah, while I agreed with a lot of what he said, and I can understand why some people are championing what he said and things like that, this absolute inability to look at himself having had any role. I know it's like a token gesture at one point. He says everyone's to blame. I think he said the manager, the players, everything. I don't think he actually believes that. I don't genuinely think he actually thinks he has had any role to play in the negative impacts of or aspects of this season whatsoever. And I think that's mad. It is a bit mad. And like I said before, very much last season it was a case of, like, if you want me to stay, prove it. And that was the way he kind of spoke to him, especially after that Burnley game. And now he's just whacking him with that stick. And there's no carrot. There is no carrot dangling on the end of it. There's not. He even said in his BBC interview, there's one line that I picked out: the fans deserve much better than this team. I mean, some of the fans are saying they deserve much better than Antonio Conte. It's such a fascinating... This is what I love about it. This is why I'm not kind of, I suppose, getting down about it and crazy. And I must stress, it's really weird that all of this is happening, this chaos. Tottenham are fourth.